system.
So the royal yacht, often derided as an expensive indulgence, would in fact have been one of the last
Hello and welcome to Football on 5. Strap yourselves in for a white-knuckle ride of EFL action. Caroline Barker will bring us all the ups and downs, and Chris Iwelumo will be supplying the high-pitched screaming. The roller coaster starts at Craven Cottage with a championship clash to set the heart racing. Only one team has scored more goals in 5th place Fulham this season, and they were in the away dressing room. League leaders Wolves. Your commentators, Don Goodman, Daniel Mann.
Into Mitrovic. Hold it, can lay it off, but Cody is there. Here's Matt Doherty, who has barely ventured over the halfway line so far. Johansson will get it back. Kenny, that was on his favoured side too. Mitrovic foraging, and Connor Cody is there.
Well, he does the only thing that he can, Alexander Mitrovic here, and that's help it over the advancing Wolves players. Unbelievable ricochets, ends up, helps it over the goalkeeper, but good reading of the game by the Wolves skipper. Connor Cody knows that he has to get back on the line there.
Burst by Cavallero, Bonatini can fool Callas, and Jay makes his presence felt. Douglas, Green very cool and composed there. Into Mitrovic, oh, he's lost it. And Jay!
Well, Marcus Bettinelli has charged out of his goal there and had a little go at his defenders. First of all, Mitrovic, probably for the first time, loses the battle here. Connor Cody just nicks a foot around, but I think Bettinelli is complaining because the defenders just back off Jai, and it's a decent strike, and it's a gamble when defenders don't close you down. Dipping just doesn't quite dip quick enough.
This is Kenny. Johansson. Kenny wants it back, not there. Johansson. Mitrovic on the turn! Ruddy is there, but so is Sessegnon! The wonder kid pounces! Fulham in front!
Well, he's raging angry with his defenders because they let Alexander Mitrovic turn and get a shot in way too easily. There's a loose header there from Njai. It gives Fulham the ball, and all of a sudden Wolves slightly out of shape. That is not a back five that we saw earlier on. A poor clearance there, and it's just down the side of Mitrovic. Connor Cody doesn't get close enough, and unfortunately for Wolverhampton Wanderers and John Ruddy, he makes a decent save, the keeper there. But who reacts first? Who reacts quickest? It is the wonder kid, Ryan Sessegnon, and that could be a big goal in Fulham's quest for automatic promotion. It really could.
Mitrovic looking for a bit of insurance, and he's got it! That's the impact this man can make. His second goal in a week, and what an acquisition he's proving to be for Fulham.
We said before a ball was kicked, can he get himself on Connor Cody? And I say this with the greatest of respect, but that is the challenge, really, and the defending of a midfielder. And when you're in midfield, you kind of get away with that a little bit, but no need to fight him. It's a fight that you're not going to win, but after that, it's just outstanding from Mitrovic. He's already demonstrated his strength. Now he proves how clinical he can be. It's a ruthless strike into the corner, and it gives John Ruddy no chance, and there's every chance it gives Fulham a valuable 3 points.
Oh, a couple of managing O'Neills there from the island of Ireland. Martin O'Neill and Michael O'Neill with him as well. Particularly confusing because Michael O'Neill's middle name is Martin. advantage played there. Saiz is still down in pain. Kearney. Johansson!
Wonderful football. First of all, they're winning their battles now. They win that ball in midfield, and from there on they bring the quality to the table. Kearney twists and he turns, and he's aware that Stefan Johansson has held his position, rolls it back to his midfield colleague, who's trying to give the goalie the eyes, and he's not a million miles away. Well, they're nearly there, 3 games without a win, and that hasn't happened to Wolves all season long. Such have been the standards.
Ojo. It's between a couple. Willy Bolly stepped in fair and square. Caballero. Willy Bolly. Connor Cody. Oh, that could be a beautiful ball for Benicaphobe. Chance on here. And another one. Diogo Jota. Well, you'd bank on it, but initially the challenge from Ream was a very vital one.
It was excellent play all round here. Connor Cody, midfield vision, great ball, great run by Afobe, and Tim Ream does exceptional, but the ball bounces kindly, and I think that is a sign that it is simply not going to be Wolverhampton Wanderers' evening, because Diogo Jota does not miss glaring opportunities like that.
Ryan, your 13th goal of the season, 9 goals in 11 games. There's only one man in the entire country who scored more goals than you this year, and that's Sergio Aguero. You're absolutely flying, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I've played well this season. I just want to continue that. I think it's credit to the gaffer playing me in a high position. I think credit to the team, we're playing well and it's making me play well. So yeah, just want to continue.
It's not easy play against Wolves. I am really satisfied with our head and with our heart and with our intention for fighting with top championship team.
No complaints about the result. I think the first half was a good half, but in the second half they were better than us, and they deserve the win.
Nuno is right, Chris. Fulham are quite simply on fire right now.
Unbelievable. You know, obviously, Aston Villa, Bristol City and Wolves, 2 wins there. On great form at the right time as well. 7
points from 9. The next 3, right? Derby away, Sheffield United at home, Preston North End away. What an important 6 games, and so far so good. Could be season-defining for them. But we can't talk about Ryan Sessegnon. He's going to take a restraining order out against this show. It's ridiculous, right? So, well, let's concentrate on Mitrovic, because he was great today, but promise me you won't say the name.
Right, OK. I've got to say 2 and 2 for the big man. Fantastic. Rolls his man here. And one thing in mind, can he get his shot away? And yeah, that guy's there, always gambling. But look at this, he gives a different dimension to Fulham. He holds up well. He's looking here to take this shot on as well. You know, unstoppable. But it's a different outlet, that physicality that he brings to the game as well. You know, it's Fulham like to play that expansive game, but he's a great outlet for them.
And how fearsome that Wolves midfield is, and they bossed it today. That's where the game was won, I thought.
Yeah, 2 great footballing sides, you know, but like Wolves are going through a little bit of a tricky period at the minute, but all teams do in the Championship. The games come thick and fast, but they're still creating chances.
I've had a couple of itchy tweets from Wolves fans who tweet me quite regularly. I'm not having it. It's fine. It's just a case of keep calm and carry on. And even today, they were still creating some great chances.
Exactly that, Cole. You know, I think, you know, obviously they've lost today, but they're scoring goals, they're picking up points, and like you say, they'll be back at it.
Absolutely. OK, on the way, some more absolutely fabulous Championship football. We've got goals galore, and Reading's Liam Kelly came up with a rocket against the Rams. This is Football on 5, and our next Championship action starts at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday damaged Derby's promotion push 11 days ago, so could they do the same at Aston Villa today?
After a slight stutter, Villa are playing catch-up again in the race for automatic promotion. They got off to a bad start. Wednesday midfielder Sean Clare completing a fine move just before the quarter hour. They weren't ahead for long though. John Terry's header saved, as was Scott Hogan's shot, but keeper Joe Wildsmith couldn't stop Lewis Grabban from scoring his second in as many matches. The relentless action continued as the home side almost went back in front. George Boyd tried his luck, His shot back off the upright, and Sam Johnston, Atinuiu, failed to bundle the ball in. Owls frontman Lucas has had the João factor at Hillsborough of late. The Portuguese striker with his 4th successful effort in 3 home outings on the stroke of half-time. Steve Bruce has had a tough time personally in the past few weeks, but this second half gave him plenty to smile about. Some head tennis from the visitors as Graben was denied a second equaliser. Robert Snodgrass has been a key man for them recently, and his cross led to a collector's item. Glenn Whelan's first for Villa and first goal since he netted for Stoke in November of 2011. Still no smile though. The home side nearly went ahead for a 3rd time. Federico Venancio forward from the back, only to be foiled by an upright. João's follow-up effort saved by Johnston. Another big Villa away following were soon in celebratory mood. Conor Hourihane has scored some big goals this term, and that was an absolute beauty. There were no slip-ups from his team late on. In fact, a match-clinching 4th arrived at the end. Snodgrass showing his quality once again. Away from Boyd, fouled by Daniel Pudil. Wednesday's protests in vain. Though they'd more than played their part in an entertaining contest, Josla Hukai's outfit are starting to look over their shoulders at the clubs below them as Snodgrass fired in to put the victorious Villains just a point behind Cardiff in second.
Overall, to come to Hillsborough and score 4 times, then you deserve to win. Quite simple. And the longer it went, I thought second half in particular, we were a threat going forward, and we tightened ourselves up defensively, which we allowed them far too much room and didn't really get after the ball quick enough in our first half. So we reminded them of that, and they've responded in a great way.
Derby boss Gary Rowett wanted his players to emulate the clinical finishing of top scorer Mate Vidra, who was missing through injury. And they didn't take too long to oblige. Just 6 minutes gone, and Casey Palmer made it 2 goals in 4 days. But Reading would rise to the occasion at the Medeski in more ways than one, and their response from Liam Kelly was simply breathtaking. Hard to believe on that evidence that the Royals had only won once in 12 and found goals hard to come by, especially when Mo Barrow made an exhilarating burst through the middle that was matched by a clever finish. The home side were on cloud 9 for just 3 minutes though, which is all Derby needed to level from an unlikely source. Richard Keogh's first league goal in over 2 years. If that was tough to take, the rub of the green just didn't really go Reading's way a minute into the second half, when Tom Lawrence just kept going and got his reward. But Jaap Stam's side regrouped and refocused, and they could always count on the red-hot shooting boots of Kelly, which so nearly worked their magic once again. Derby had their chances too, Cameron Jerome timing his leap to perfection, only to find the pesky crossbar in the way. It was a lifeline for the home side, who'd lost their last 4 and were keen to avoid an unwanted piece of history. No Reading side had ever lost 5 on the spin before, and yet the football gods seemed to be looking the other way as Jon Daddy Bodvarsson also found the woodwork. He was down, but not out, and would have a starring role in the Royals' salvation. Scrappy it might have been, but 2-yard tap-ins have rarely felt that good or significant, given the Royals' league position. Cue a grandstand finish then, which couldn't produce a goal, but it did include a red card for Chris Baird, who had 2 bites at the cherry in trying to keep Barrow in check, and then one fairly short walk down the tunnel as a result.
I don't really like to come in here and talk about the referees, because I'd rather talk about my own team's deficiencies, which at the moment are defensively. We're not keeping enough teams out, you know. So I thought it was completely the wrong decision, and unfortunately for us, they'll stick together, they'll all say it was a red card, so there's no point us appealing it, and we have to lose a player just from someone basically not doing the job properly.
You've seen during the game that they already fouled him once or twice, basically on purpose, and he just made a tackle, you know, and then there's always the risk of getting that red card if you put in a tackle like that, I think.
In the Friday night game, the Hull fans continued their protests against the owners for the visit of Sheffield United. Gary Weaver and Lee Hendry are your commentators.
The Premier League may have filled Hull City's pockets as they headed through the exit door, but the parachute is yet to open, and the fall could be even greater. Billy Sharp could be in here for Sheffield United, and McGregor gets to it.
That is the biggest chance of the game, and it's just poor defending. It goes alone, and it's a fantastic save by Alan McGregor.
Michael Dawson trying to shake off O'Connell in the middle. Comes into that near post. They drop to Evandro, a miscue. Irvin, and it's Dicko! That changes the mood around here. It's been a place on the edge, but Hull City have something to smile about.
He's got no one near him. He's just got to find the composure to stick it in the net, and he coolly does that past Blackman.
O'Connell trying to readjust. In by John Fleck. O'Connell putting himself around again. Then Stearman goes down. The referee adamant that that was not a penalty.
Wow, I'm not sure about that. It's a great ball in. Look at this Sheffield United players queuing up. Just don't think he got enough of a touch on it to get away from it, Ainia, but I've seen them given.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm not playing spin or anything with the players psychologically. I'm not trying to be a clever manager. I just look at us and I think we've just possibly got the maximum out of these players, and that'll be us.
Well, Hull City have started to win again, 2 and 3. Maybe the sponge balls have become a superstition. We hope not. Looking at the other two games, so many goals. With Wednesday Villa, if we concentrate on debatable decisions, we wouldn't talk about the drama of the match, and I want to concentrate on that. A 2-2 could have went either way.
No, you know what? If you look at this, this is at 2-2. You know, and it's like both teams are going for the win. Oh. Look at the Villa bodies there, you know, throwing themselves in front of it. Great save. You know, just lively at it. But you know what? Villa, they've got leaders throughout. And up steps Hourihan with his 9th league goal of the season. Look how he takes it, guides it all the way, takes it with the laces. Quality finish, and he's done it time and time again this season. Steve Brucey said to me, asked him questions, and they've answered them.
He also said, I brought John Terry in not just for what he can do on the pitch, but his leadership off. This is like they won a cup final today, and this is only after a great run was stopped by a defeat and a draw.
He is a true professional. No matter what level he's playing at, he will give his all, and he leads by example. But they've got leaders throughout, Cole. You know, Steve Brucey signed players that have that experience, but they're leaders. They lead by example.
Talking about runs, Reading Derby was brilliant. There's so many good games in the Championship today. 3-3, and Reading really needed that. Derby's wheels came off last February. It was frightful. I think 2 points in 18, 7th to 11th, and never recovered. There's been whispers of this history repeating this year. We're not so sure.
No, you know what? I wouldn't say it's so bad. It's like 2 wins since the turn of the year. I think the most frustrating thing is probably there's 6 draws there. You know, but they're scoring goals. You know, if you look at the last 3, there's like 3, 2, and 1 there. It's like, so they're scoring the goals. That's a frustrating thing. I think if they can turn a couple of their draws into wins, they will kick on again.
Correct, actually. Just too many 1 points. A couple of those turned to 3. It's a different story. So
of course,
it's more tiny margins with them. Carry on regardless.
Exactly. Do not lose games. That's the thing. They're picking points up, but they need to turn them into wins.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, next up we go to Deepdale to see if Preston North End could inch closer to the top 6. The Lily Whites have lost just once in 17 games since Ipswich beat them at Portman Road nearly 4 months ago. The lip reader's dream, Mick McCarthy and his team, were the opponents today, and your commentary comes from Paul Walker.
Cunningham delivers early, just got a slight deflection on it which took it away from Billy Bowden, but it will be a Preston corner. Not the greatest as it comes towards Pearson, who's beaten through it by Waghorn. There's a break on here for Ipswich, and Carriol is away here. Waghorn continuing the run. He's done brilliantly, must score. What a save from the goalkeeper. Might get a second bite and puts it wide, Carriol. What a chance. And Mustafa Carriol will know that he should have scored there, had 2 opportunities and didn't take either of them. And it all came from a Preston corner. And somehow Carriol, with a second attempt, puts it wide. And Davis trying to keep it alive for his team before Chambers intervenes. Barkhuizen lining up this throw. Big one too. Away by Chambers. Barkhuizen again. Getting it back from Pearson. Those two combining neatly. Pearson low ball and dangerous right across goal. And it comes a wicked delivery.
Well, there were some furious appeals there from the Preston players.
Garner. Skews over the top. Carriol in hot pursuit and he's nipped in as well. It's Carriol! Doesn't miss this time! Mustafa Carriol on his full Ipswich debut gives Town the lead at Deepdale. Started a second favourite in bravely with his head. Well, he missed a golden opportunity earlier on, Mustafa Carriol. But he wasn't going to miss that one. Oh, Carriol, a real turn of pace from him, gets him clear of Callum Woods, and he's driving past another as well. What a run this is from Mustafa Carriol. Wycombe! What a challenge that was from Greg Cunningham. Wow. The pace of Mustafa Carriol here was absolutely frightening. Great presence of mind to pull it back for Waghorn, but give Greg Cunningham enormous credit for throwing his body on the line. A lovely ball for Waghorn. He's onside as well, and Garner's lurking. Joe Garner missed it. This is Iorfa, has plenty of time to bring it down, grazes the bar. Well, Ipswich should at least be 2 goals clear by now. Possibly 3. Iorfa, plenty of time to think about what to do next, and grazes the bar. Harrop. Brown. Pearson out to the overlapping Earl. Has he got the right cross? The answer is no. Webster with a header away. You would think, in the time that remains, Preston will at least be able to carve out one opportunity. It's Earl, stretching Bielkowski. Well, the Ipswich goalkeeper with some work to do at last. Cunningham going long, missed by Carter Vickers. Well, he did just get something on it in the end. Quickly taken throw. Stayed in play, Horgan's delivery, and there's a header from Barkhuizen. Well, it lacked the power and direction necessary to get Preston back on terms. Good ball in from Horgan. It was a routine stop in the end. For some Preston supporters, it's time to go. This is a performance that has fallen well short of recent standards, I think it's fair to say.
I think everybody watching, and you can almost see the writing on the wall, can't you? We were 1-0 up. We should have been more than that, the chances that we had. Dom hit the crossbar. You could just see it coming, can't you? You know, the old 1-0 up and messed it up, the song coming out. But I thought we were terrific in our defending and our organisation in the second half. The lads were great.
How does your future stand at Ipswich at the moment?
My future stands this, that I'm coming to the end of my contract. I need to have a chat with Marcus. I believe, you know, chats I've had before, that he's happy with me and would like me to stay and continue managing the club. I love working there. I love my job, so I'm not about to walk away. And if Marcus wants me to stay, then that'll do for me.
A good win today when you're wet Preston. But with Mick McCarthy, you know, it's a triangle of discontent, isn't there, which is quite familiar at a lot of clubs, but the owner, the manager and the fans.
No, but I think fans have got to be very careful what they wish for. You know, Mick is doing a great job, definitely overachieving with the funds that are put forward.
I think they want more funds, though. I think if you talk
more
to
funds,
fans,
but it's also about the brand of football as well,
Yeah.
Cole, isn't it? And that's what they're not happy about. But at the end of the day, he's delivering results.
Now, Mustafa Carriol, that was his full debut, you know, and he did all the running in the first half and all the running in the second half off the pitch. He had a stomach problem.
You know what? He was just a complete thorn in pressing side from the get-go. Here cuts in, unlucky there, but I've got to say, Rudd in goal, done everything right. Yeah. Callum Wood should defend this. I don't know why he just doesn't clear it, but onto it like a flash, and look at the finish, you know, just beautiful. Opens his body up and slides in, composed as ever. He's got one thing in mind here. Look at this, just he looks up, knows where the keeper is, and just slots it in, and that's what you want. Sheer quality. His first start today as well, and he said that Mick McCarthy's gave him his mojo back, so it's all about player management as well. Look at the pace of him here, Cole. You know, and one thing, look at him here, he's looking at Waghorn, the pace, cuts it back perfectly, and to be fair, Waghorn should be putting that in the back of the net. Yeah.
What about Preston North End? You and I had a good half-hour conversation on this earlier. Did you see if you can do it in 20 seconds?
No, to be fair, home form. That's what it all comes down to. Six wins out of 17. Yeah. You know, they're only 3 points off the playoffs at the minute, and again, they're overachieving, but they should be doing better with that home form.
So I agree. I think they're overachieving. You look at those draws, Brentford, Wolves and Aston Villa going in today. You say I'm 1 and 4, but they're fantastic draws.
Yeah, they are fantastic draws, but they've dropped too many points against teams that they should be picking them up against.
OK. Plenty more from the Sky Bet Championship still to come, but forget the big air snowboarding at the Winter Olympics. Adama Traore got the height at the Stadium of Light, but he was in for a huge fall as Middlesbrough went to Sunderland. Hello again, we are heading to the northeast now for a Teeswear clash that is or isn't a derby, depending on your point of view. Please don't tweet me. The build-up to this dominated by Sunderland owner Ellis Short, being prepared to give the club away for nothing, but you'd be well advised to read the small print, Caroline, before you get your chequebook out.
It's at Colin Murray for comments. As always. You don't get something for nothing in this game, do you? So if you want to buy Sunderland, yeah, on the one hand, it's free. Back in 2016, the last recorded debts, apparently around about 137 million. He says, Short, he might write off, 69 million of that, his own debt. So rotten for Sunderland fans off the pitch. On it, Middlesbrough legend Bernie Slavin this week, he stoked it a bit. He said that they were cannon fodder. That was in his Teesside Gazette column. Chris Coleman named 2 teenagers in attack. One of them repays his faith on 11 minutes. Josh Badger with a little flick on. Joel Osoro, look at that reaction in front of the South Stand, poking home at 1-0 Sunderland. After that, I don't really know what we were watching. First up, clearest red card you're likely to see this season. Up and over, that's Chelsea loanee Jake Clark-Salter bringing down Traore. One way to stop him, I guess, but it didn't stop him for long. That was on 24 minutes. This on 30, Traore causing all sorts of problems. Good work from Friend. Picks out Traore on the edge of the area and he shoots over. But they were soon level, albeit number of players. Traore is sent off for an off-the-ball incident, so we won't see it. Tony Pulis would later say he'd been poked in the eye, had Traore. Doesn't go off quietly, though. Have a look, there's a shove. He squares up to his own teammates in this. It's his second red of the season and a potential 4-game ban. Take a breath then. Into the second half we'll head. This on 49, George Friend. Into Patrick Bamford. Lovely bit of skill, this. He makes it 1-1. Skills, sendings off. You know what we haven't had yet? A penalty. On 51 minutes. Watch out for Brits. Assombalonga pouncing on a stray ball. Here he comes. Brought down by Camp. Penalty given. Up steps Grant Ledbetter to tuck this one away against his boyhood club. No celebration from him. At this point, we were saying how many games has Sunderland mucked up this season, but we didn't need to finish that sentence. The ball pulled back eventually to Johnny Williams, and he squeezes it through, his first goal for the club. All square 2-2, but don't look away yet. Beautiful pass this coming up from Mo Besic, splits the Sunderland defence, and Patrick Bamford, still a bit to do, he makes it 3-2 to Borough. With around about 4 minutes left of normal time, looked like Sunderland's chance had gone. Substitute Callum McManaman forcing a good save here. But this match hasn't ended in a draw for 18 years. Remember that, as everyone goes up for the corner, bar the keeper. And McManaman, he makes it 3-3. He then heads straight over to Tony Pulis. Afterwards, Pulis was asked about this, about McManaman. He said he was disappointed when he was at West Brom that I never picked him. He went to Sheffield Wednesday, they never picked him. He's come here and they never pick him. Better than an episode of Geordie Shore, this. What did the managers have to say?
The last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a feeling of, oh, right, this is definitely real. We're not toying with a relegation dogfight. This is where we are. So reality set in. It's been a bit gloomy, a bit negative, as you understand it. I think everybody at this club suffered a lot for a long time. So it's really tough at the moment. We've just the last 6 games, we've lost 4, drawn 2. So we're looking for that win. But it will come.
Disappointed for players. You know, I think we scored a couple of good. Patrick scored 2 great goals today. Missed a couple of good chances as well, good opportunities. A typical derby game is very heated. You know, some tackles flying in and everything else. But now disappointed we not got the 3 points.
Yeah, Pulis disappointed for the players. What about the fans and their hopes of a playoff push?
Well, we've not managed to beat the worst team in the league. Tony Pulis' team cannot defend set pieces. We have to work on that. If we're going to make the playoffs, we have to do that and survive without Traore and somebody else stepping up to the plate for 4 games. We can do it, but it's going to be a tough ride. Come on, Borough.
The view of a Borough fan, you have, what, around about a minute to sum that up? Good luck.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. I just want to show the highlights again. Almost every goal told story. But you know when you see tackles and then you say, well, it wasn't as bad as it looked, I'm not going to say that about this.
You can't say this. This was a feisty affair. There was tackles going in, challenges going in all over. But he's tried to go in hard. It is. It's one of them, isn't it? Traore's just too fast, moves the ball, and he completely wipes him out. You know, it was a feisty affair. There was players going in. There was arguments all through the match. But both teams showed passion.
Well, Adama Traore ran the show last time we featured him. He was involved in most things today as well, but in a very different way. But when you just thought you'd seen everything, I'm not sure I've seen a player run right into the technical area of the opposition manager to grind an axe, but that's what Cal McManaman did.
You know what, he takes it well. He's got one thing in mind. He knows where he's going here. For me, in my opinion, this runs a little bit deeper than just not being picked to play.
What do you mean by that?
I think they've had a few words. There's been a few words. The relationship was never there, and he's made that very evident there. And to be fair, the reaction that Pulis has gave him as well, that says that the feeling's mutual.
Yeah, there was a lot in that game that probably in a position of responsibility we shouldn't be smiling at, but actually it was one of those games as a fan you couldn't take your eyes off it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, for both fans, what they see from their team. Of course, Middlesbrough are trying to push into the playoffs. Disappointed they've not seen and killed the game off. But Sunderland, they're going right to the end. You know, they're in that position, and he's come out and said that they know exactly where they are.
OK, Caroline, that was about 2 minutes. Anyway, this afternoon there was a huge game affecting the bottom at St Andrews. Birmingham City have lost more games than anyone else in the division and are still in big danger. The visitors were second bottom Barnsley, now under the new management of Jose Morais. We won't give it the old hoary cliche of must win, but let's call it a required result.
Birmingham have certainly picked a bad time to go into a tailspin. 4 straight league defeats now, despite a bright start against fellow strugglers Barnsley. An important double save from Nick Townsend to deny first Jeremy Boga, then Shea Adams, and that was as close as the Blues would come to ending their scoring drought. The visitors, themselves mired in a winless 6-game streak, then took over, and it was Swansea loanee Ollie McBurney in the thick of things, converting Mamadou Thiam's cross to open the scoring in the 13th minute, and then proving to be almost unplayable. With Birmingham seemingly falling apart, McBurney could have had 4 in the first half. This should have been his second. Keeper David Stockdale will take credit for the save, but McBurney was torturing and tormenting a fragile home defence, and when former Barnsley skipper Mark Roberts bundled the busy striker over in the penalty area, there wasn't much doubt about who was going to take the spot kick. But if the previous one had been too easy for Stockdale, this was a save of genuine quality. It didn't prompt a change in momentum. Barnsley kept on coming, and inevitably McBurney would get the decisive final touch for their second. Kiefer Moore's looping header caused chaos in the Blues' back line, and the Yorkshire-born frontman was Johnny on the spot. The win moves Barnsley out of the bottom 3, while their hosts replace them in the drop zone, and spare a thought for ex-Tyke Roberts, just not his day. In the right place to pick up Townsend's rebound, but from an offside position. A first win for Barnsley boss Jose Morais, but Steve Cotterill is under serious pressure now, the Blues boss needing an escort as disgruntled fans made their feelings loudly known at the final whistle.
Didn't start, never got going.
looked nervous as hell. Looked as nervous as hell. And we didn't play anything like we have done in the last month. We looked scared.
I'm really happy for the boys, for what they did, because I believe in their potential. They have potential, and I hope they can continue to show what they really have inside of them.
Difficult defeat to take. It's a case of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We're in the bottom 3 now. A lot's gone wrong. Key injuries, suspensions, the lack of a quality signing needed possibly in January. Tactics are questionable at the moment. A lot of hard work we need to do. We need to get some results quick.
Had fellow strugglers Burton known relegation rivals Barnsley would be walking away with 3 points at St Andrews, they might have been more clinical against a Millwall side looking for their 4th away win on the bounce. Lucas Akins had an early chance to put the Brewers ahead but lifted the ball too high. Nigel Clough's side had the better of the first half but failed to find the back of the net. Former England striker Darren Bent threw on goal but blasting wide. Millwall boss Neil Harris had named an unchanged side for a 3rd successive game and was starting to pile the pressure on Burton. Striker Lee Gregory in the 6-yard box coming close. The breakthrough came on the hour with James Meredith staying on his feet, leaving Steve Morrison to tee up Jed Wallace down the left-hand side. The perfect cross eventually came and was bundled in from close range by Wolves' lonely winger Ben Marshall. His first goal for the club moves Millwall up to 12th after going 8 games unbeaten, while Burton's barren run at home leaves them 2 points from safety.
We've been due an away performance where we've not been at our best and win a game. So many times this year we've been excellent on the road and not won, so we'll certainly take that. 9 points in a week at this level is a great achievement. Really proud of my players.
It is, and Neil Harris is bang right about the away form because, you know, last season and for part of this season, people were quick to point out it was all about the home form. They're 4 in a row away from home, by the way, and this is a team now who are still targeting the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's easier to chase than to be chased, and he's definitely instilled that confidence and belief in them. Now, they work very hard for the manager. They're playing some good football, scoring some good goals. They go to the end. You know, it's 6 wins since the turn of the year. I think four draws there. It's fantastic. They're going well.
4th favourite for the drop before a ball was kicked this season. Just absolute testament how well they've done. You look for a saviour if you are in those bottom places at the moment, and Barnsley, maybe Ollie McBurney could be that 3 and 4.
Yeah, you know what? Like you say, the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, Barnsley have got two wins out of the last 18, and they're still outside the drop zone with a game in hand. So it just shows you how poor the teams are below the form is.
Well, on that subject, Birmingham City now below them and in the relegation zone. I mean, 4 defeats in a row, no goals in that. And Cottrell, he got it in the neck today, didn't he?
Yeah, no, but it's worrying. You know, obviously, he's things are getting slung at him in all sorts today, which is pure showing. There's no room for that. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing. You know, he's come out and said about the players they're playing with a fear. Well, I'm afraid that's his job to instill that confidence into the players. You have to have leaders. He chooses the team. He puts his efforts into training, and like you say, they're not seeing nothing from them.
Yeah. Okay. Goal rush from Leagues 1 and 2 on the way later, but not before we complete our championship business. Nottingham Forest were in the groove at Loftus Road this afternoon, and when the mood takes him, Lee Tomlin can be close to unstoppable. Welcome back. Ellen Road is our next destination, where Leeds have gone 2 months without a win. The visitors were Brentford, who put 5 past Birmingham in the week. And Caroline's watching this one.
Yeah, sharpshooters. Maybe they borrowed Chris's holster. It's actually a satchel. Don't mean it, Chris. Love you, really.
It's a terrible shirt.
I'm going. A couple of big changes for Leeds over the past few months. That crest, which looks like it's been canned, I'm continuing. That crest, which looks like it's been canned this week. And Paul Heckingbottom, of course, coming in, says his players were playing for their future. Dean Smith, in the Brentford dugout, of course, has signed that new 1-year extension this week. Former Brentford player Adam Forshaw was on the front cover of the programme, but missed this one with his wife in labour. This on 12 minutes, decent shot and save. John Egan, eventually, here he goes, hammering it in, Vival tipping it over. Coming up, when we watched this earlier, Colin said you'd love this, Chris. Alioski free kick, captain Liam Cooper, what a header that is, getting ahead of his man, 1-0. Dean Smith, though, thought there was an offside in that one. Alioski was involved next up, 2 on 60. Goes down in the box. Referee having none of it, no penalty given. It was a game of few chances. Brentford did have plenty of possession, but Leeds stepped closer. Lasogga then, and Ryan Woods, he eventually clears this one. Just a minute left of normal time. We'll take you into that, the 89th minute. Alan Judge's free kick takes a little deflection, parried by Vivald. The rebound here from Canos off target. Leeds then have their first win in 10, the first win in 2018, and the first win under Paul Heckingbottom.
A winning team's a good team, so that's a start. You know, we've got something to build on now. So I say bit by bit, performances have got better. In terms of what we're looking for today, was without doubt the best without the ball, and I'm still on the sideline comfortable. And you know, it's that's a rare thing playing against Brentford, because they're such a good side who score goals and create chances for fun.
Leeds now 11th and 5 points off the playoffs.
OK, thanks, Kaz. 2 games left, and we begin at Loftus Road, where Queen's Park Rangers face Nottingham Forest.
With just 2 wins in 14 on their travels, a tough trip to Loftus Road almost got a whole lot tougher for Nottingham Forest when Matt Smith's reaction header appeared to give the home side the advantage. Past Costel Pantilimon, but not over the line, according to Darren Bond and his assistants. Rocked early on, but Lee Tomlin finally got Forest rolling with a sweet strike to break the deadlock. Adding to his midweek goal against Reading, though, wasn't enough as he unleashed this beautiful curling strike to double the advantage. The Cardiff loanee would also play provider as QPR's defence went into meltdown. Joe Lolly happy to feast on the opportunity to score his first goal since joining the club in January. A fight back could have been on the cards when Massimo Luongo scrambled the ball home 20 minutes from time. Hardly the dream goal on his 100th Rangers appearance. But Aitor Karanka's side weren't done yet. The decision to start Matty Cash paying dividends as he pounced on Kieran Dowell's rebound to restore the 3-goal cushion. And even when towering forward Matt Smith connected with Luke Freeman's cross to reduce the deficit once again, there weren't many in blue and white who truly believed a late comeback was on the cards. Ben Brereton's sumptuous stoppage time strike putting the icing on the cake. For a team that scored just 3 goals in their previous 10 league outings, this was a much-needed big win.
We played really organized. We played more aggressive. So it's the only way that we can win games. And I'm really pleased for the players because they deserved, and really pleased for the crowd.
2 sides whose fortunes have taken a twist of late. Bolton's outlook looking brighter after a midweek win over Sunderland. Norwich unbeaten in 5 to move within shouting distance of the playoffs. James Maddison takes much of the credit and came close to putting them in front here. In fact, such has been Maddison's form, he was attracting interest from the Premier League in January. Ben Alnwick in the Bolton goal needed to be alert to punch away that strike from the Canaries' top scorer. Norwich aren't quite matching last season's home form, but would hope for better against a Bolton side with the worst away record in the Championship. Maddison again involved feeding Nelson Oliveira, but Alnwick was having an inspired afternoon, which is more than can be said for his teammates up front. They didn't manage 1 shot on target. Norwich continued to keep up the pressure in the second half, but Maddison's cross shot came to nothing. Now, there has been late drama in Norwich's last 2 games, and there was here, but it came on the touchline. Missed by our camera, but spotted by referee Keith Stroud, Daniel Farker vented his frustrations on the match ball. He spent the dying minutes in the stands to see his side extend their unbeaten run to 6, but the last 4 all draws.
This moment I was a little bit too hard with my touch and put the ball perhaps a bit too strong back on the pitch. Was my mistake, so it was my fault. I just have to say sorry for that.
OK, and we'll move on from it. I want to concentrate on Lee Tomlin. Yeah. Signed deadline day on loan from Cardiff, and on his day, he's ridiculous, isn't he?
On his day, he's up there with the best in the Championship. You know, I think he's brought him in because Cranker knows the player. You know, he's done very well for him at Middlesbrough, getting to the playoffs. They got beat against Norwich, but look, this is what he does. You know, and he does this. He doesn't score many goals that you don't remember. Fantastic player, and like you say, it's about man management. He knows that on his day he can do that, but consistently does Lee hit their levels Probably not, but he knows he's bringing quality into his squad.
Karanka might be the key, though, because under Borough, when he had him there, they got the playoff final together.
Well, exactly. It's all about man management, player management, and I think that that's something that Karanka knows that he can get the best out of Lee.
Yeah, a news flash for you. Every time Chris is on the show, Nottingham Forest win, and he's on next week. They play Birmingham City, so get your money on that. Right, let's have a look at the table. Wolves stay 9 points clear of Cardiff, who play Bristol City on Sunday, while Aston Villa are a point shy of the automatic promotion places. Fulham have closed the gap on Derby in 4th, and Middlesbrough are up to 7th. At the other end of the table, Sunderland stay bottom, while Burton have dropped a place to 23rd. Barnsley's win over Birmingham sees Steve Cottrell's men drop into the relegation zone. OK, a rush of goals is what we promise next. There's a new boss at Fleetwood Town, and Ashley Hunter was determined to create a good first impression. Welcome to Goal Rush. Sky Bet League One is first on the agenda, where long-time leaders Wigan have slipped out of the top two, but that's due to their prolonged FA Cup success. But that's allowed Blackburn Rovers to seize the initiative, and they were at Walsall today.
Blackburn's fans expect plenty from their team, and having booed them at Ewood Park this week, they'll have been delighted with this performance, and with Danny Graham in particular, who was lurking with intent from 5 yards. Rovers' top scorer was in uncompromising form in front of goal as he took his tally to 15 for the season to help the visitors hit cruise control midway through the first half with another goal-snaffler's finish. Adam Armstrong had certainly played his part too in helping his team into the driving seat, and he must have thought his moment had come. But superb acceleration would be matched by super frustration. Walsall were looking to extend their unbeaten run to 5 and were right back in it, thanks to Jack Fitzwater's quick thinking just before half-time. But Erhun Oztuma's effort was matched by an inspired David Raya, and Rovers head back to Lancashire with another 3 points.
Charlton were looking to strengthen their playoff challenge in the London sunshine, and Carl Robinson's men started in positive fashion, only to find away keeper Dean Henderson in excellent form. He prevented Josh Magennis and then Joe Aribo from breaking the deadlock. Shrewsbury want to avoid the playoffs if they possibly can, and a good run from John Nolan set them on their way. Esri Konsa, the clumsy defender, Nolan picked himself up, but his penalty was tame to say the very least. He somehow failed to convert the follow-up, and Sean Wally couldn't force the second rebound over the line. The away team would soon send their fans doolally at the Valley, though. Alex Rodman, the hero to put them on course for their first win at this stadium since 1984. The Addicts had it all to do, but Omar Backles went forward to put the game beyond them. Tickets just a £5 for this one, and another 5-star showing from the high-flying Shrews.
Back to the grind of league action for these two northwesterly neighbours, seemingly heading in opposite directions. Wigan's promotion campaign is back on track thanks to this Michael Jacobs goal against struggling Rochdale. 1-0 was good enough to dump Manchester City out of the FA Cup, and 1-0 would have to do here too. Rochdale's heroics against Tottenham earned them a Wembley replay, but it was the Latics in control here. Jamie Walker foiled by Josh Lillis. 11 points from safety, Dale are looking doomed, while their hosts have shrugged off the blip of back-to-back league defeats. Max Power's effort rattling the bar, and it's Wigan dreaming of a League and Cup double.
Promotion-chasing Rotherham went into this South Yorkshire sellout looking for their 7th straight win in the league. But Semi Ajayi's mistake at the end of the first half left Paul Warne's side trailing Doncaster after John Marquis netted from 18 yards out. The visitors had to deal with a nasty head injury to defender Tom Anderson early in the second half, though. He took a heavy blow in a clash with goalkeeper Marco Morosi. The game was delayed for around 10 minutes while the Burnley low knee was stretchered off for further treatment. It's been 33 years since Doncaster have beaten their local rivals here, and they were determined to secure their first away win since December. Joe Wright had to be called into action to deny Richie Towell's on-target shot just inside the box. Rotherham had snatched a 96th-minute equaliser at the Keepmoat in November, and striker Michael Smith made sure history was repeated, heading home Joel Newell's free kick on 93 minutes. But the drama didn't end there. With 12 minutes of stoppage time shown, the home side wanted all 3 points. And Smith ensured they were given the chance after going down under Morosi's challenge in the penalty box. Newell with the last kick of the game, smashed in from the spot as the promotion push continues for Rotherham after a game that will surely go down in South Yorkshire folklore.
With Bristol Rovers just 6 points off the playoff spots, the Gas don't mind who provides the spark to ensure they stay in the hunt for the top 6. Kyle Bennett going close to finding his second goal in 4 league outings for his new side, but not close enough to test Matthew Gilks. The iron heated up after the interval, and it was the Belgian Funzo Ojo who was the catalyst. His strike ricocheting onto the crossbar and away to safety before the midfielder laid on the opener. His pinpoint through ball allowing Dwayne Holmes to guide in his 10th goal of the season to break the deadlock. Rovers had half an hour to find an equaliser, and in the 91st minute it finally came. Liam Sercombe's probing run and cross fell so kindly to Ellis Harrison. A share of the spoils, a bitter pill to swallow for Graham Alexander's side.
Absolutely, but Bristol Rovers 7 points off the playoffs, so we'll see how valuable that point is come the end of the season. Now for a meeting of the two teams in 7th and 8th, level in points, but Caroline heading in different directions.
Yeah, and that direction is Spain, if you're Plymouth Argyle this week. Derek Adams took them warm weather training in Marbella. He clearly knows what he's doing. Did you see this stat this week? Out of the 92 clubs since he's taken over, guess who's won the most league games? One, Derek Adams at Plymouth Argyle. Even Bradford City boss Simon Grayson, he's been heaping praise on him this week. Not much in this one early on. Argyle did take the lead on 34 minutes, more than a slice of luck. Anthony Sarcevic with a good run into the box. His low shot, it looked easy for Colin Doyle, but there was a big old deflection in that one. 1-0 at half-time. On 51 minutes, Graham Carey then gets past Callum Guy and Matthew Kilgallen into the box. This one, though, eventually whistles past the post. Take you around about 10 minutes from the end, and Alex Gilead made ground down the right, crosses into the 6-yard box. Robinson can't quite get a touch on it. Then as City pushed for an equaliser on 90 minutes, that was a stray arm that did for them. Charlie White given a straight red for catching Bradley. Referee Graham Salisbury having a word with his assistant first. White would after say he was innocent. 90+4 we head to, and a catalogue of errors nearly brought another goal. Colin Doyle with that poor clearance. Knight Percival and Callum Guy with mistakes. And there's Jamie Ness. Can't quite find the back of the net, though. That one probably still drifting over. They're into the top 6 after a 6th win in a row. So 60 football for Derek Adams.
We knew that a win today would, allow us to open up a gap between ourselves and Bradford. But, we've been away to Spain for the week and we've enjoyed that. And, just delighted to get the win because you're always under pressure when you come back and, after that break. And but the boys, responded very well. I thought they were excellent today.
Yeah, 36 points from the last 15 games. No taxi for Adams.
Yeah. Thank you. The Barker Fleetwood then have turned to the firefighting skills of John Sheridan to get them out of relegation trouble down at the bottom of League One. His first assignment was an important clash with fellow strugglers MK Dons.
Sheridan's efforts in keeping Oldham up 2 seasons ago earned the nickname the Shesurrection. The good news for Fleetwood is he thinks they're better placed to stay up than the Latics were. The bad news is they're on their worst run in the EFL, and they fell behind when Robbie Muirhead, having a better day than his namesake in the women's curling, scored his first of the season. Almost immediately, Fleetwood fought back. When Paddy Madden was tackled, Conor McElhaney pounced, but was denied by the post. 6 straight league defeats tell you why Fleetwood have turned to Sheridan in the hope he can breathe new life into them. Ashley Hunter's cross just too far in front of Madden. So if you are looking for a way to re-energise a flagging Fleetwood side, try this curling effort from Hunter, his 7th of the season, to bring the Cod Army level. With Oldham's match being postponed, Fleetwood had the chance to pull clear of the drop zone, but McElhaney's late shot would be saved. Not quite back from the dead for Sheridan's side, but a point and improvement on their last 6 games.
You can only come in and try and say the right things and do the right things, and listen, hopefully it'll all turn out in the end. The most important thing is, at the end of the season, we're in this division. It's very tight, the team's down there, and it's going to be an hard slog, but I'm very pleased with the performance. I think that performance would win you a lot of games.
The league's bottom side were looking to get their great escape back on track as Bury went into the game against Gillingham 10 points from safety. Neil Dan's bobbled shot put them ahead, his second goal this season, with his first coming in the reverse back in November. Gillingham were playing their 5th game in 15 days and perhaps tired legs were to blame for Bury doubling their lead. Zeli Ismail took the ball into the box to set up an unmarked Harry Bunn. Bury's tails were up and they were looking to score 3 goals in the league for the first time since October. George Miller ended up being denied by Tomasz Holy and Bond's follow-up was blocked off the line. It was a nervy end for Bury though after Scott Wagstaff's cross was headed home by defender Conor Ogilvie. But the Spurs loanee's first goal for the club wasn't enough to stop Ryan Lowe's side moving off the foot of the table.
Oxford have a new owner, and Thai businessman Sumit Tanakan Yanasuth, try saying that after a few shandies, was at this game to see if his new club could arrest their recent slide. The U's rode their luck in the first half, Northampton's Chris Long with 2 early chances. The Cobblers' top scorer was wasteful though, his finishing hardly worthy of his manager, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. The relegation-threatened host had lost their previous 2 home league games, but played some decent stuff. Matt Crooks came oh so close to finding an elusive goal. Caretaker boss Derek Fazakerley at least avoided a 4th straight loss, and the away side might have won it, only for Wes Thomas to fluff a late header. Appointing a new manager, now the priority for Oxford.
These two had lost the winning habit, and Posh must have thought the goal-scoring habit had gone too. When Danny Lloyd faltered, Chris Forrester followed up, and Barry Fuller saved the day. To make matters worse for the home faithful, the struggling visitors showed no mercy when they had a sight of goal. Top scorer Lyle Taylor doing what he's been doing all season. But the home side responded just 4 minutes later to rescue a point thanks to quick feet from Marcus Maddison. And as mascot Peter Burrow would probably say, that's all, folks.
An uncharacteristically off-key performance from Portsmouth, who created very little once Ollie Hawkins had spurned this excellent opportunity. The last time Blackpool won at Fratton Park, Diana Ross was top of the charts with I'm Still Waiting. Nearly 47 years on, the Tangerines aren't waiting anymore, helped, it has to be said, by some dithering from Pompey's Christian Burgess. Not so much where did our love go, more where on earth did Kyle Vassell go? Hardly a supreme performance then from the home side, who hit all the wrong notes in this one. And it was automatically sunshine for Blackpool when Clark Robertson decided to turn Pompey's non-existent defence upside down and leave home fans singing the blues.
Well, the top 4 in League One all picked up wins today, but Wigan have 3 games in hand over the teams around them. Plymouth Argyle are into the playoff positions from bottom in December. Rochdale are now bottom of the league, though they do have games in hand. Bury and Blackpool were the only sides in the bottom have to win today. And Chris Iwelumo, it's Bury where we're going to go now. I mean, it's hard to keep up, isn't it? It was Lee Clark, Ranlow had a few games as caretaker. Lekedi had 8 games with just 1 point and no goals. And now Louis got the job until the end of the season. It looked impossible for them. I'd say at the moment it's a tough ask, but not impossible anymore.
Yeah, well, stability's been an issue there. I think that filters down into the players. But you know what? It's out of the last 6, 1 defeat. That was to Blackburn. 2 wins. So Ryan Lowe, he's doing something right. They're picking up points. They're learning to win games. I think 8 points is a big ask. You know, it is a big ask. They're quite reliant. Neil Dan's here with a goal.
You played one, didn't you?
I played with Dan's at Colchester, but it's like I say, it's a big ask. They're still quite reliant on teams round about them making mistakes as well. But like you say, they're going in the right path. You know, he's got them winning games. And being hard to beat.
And that win today was against Gillingham. We've lost 1-13 going into Gig Lane. So, like, it was an impressive win.
Yeah, it was. You know, and like I say, it's 1 defeat against Blackburn. That shows where they are. They are improving under Lowe, and I think he's the right man, albeit caretaker.
Barry, keep believing. That's what we're saying. Sky Bet League 2 is next. And if you're one of the 73 Morecambe fans who travelled away today, we hope you made it back in time, all 226 miles, because a Kevin Ellison-inspired performance at High Flying Wycombe is up next. Welcome back. Sky Bet League 2 is where it's at now. And top of the pile is where Luton Town have proudly sat for the last 3 months. They were 5 points clear ahead of today's visit from Cheltenham.
Such has been the form of Nathan Jones' side this season. 2 league defeats in 2018 have had cynics even talking of a wobble. Not a lot the Luton defence could do about Cheltenham's stunning opener from Joe Morrell, as Gary Johnson's side hoped to cause an upset on the Hatters' home turf. Referee Mark Hayward caused controversy early in the second half with his decision not to play advantage, despite Ollie Lee hitting the back of the net. He pointed to the spot instead. James Collins had scored Luton's last 2 penalties in as many games, but was denied his 17th goal of the season by goalkeeper Scott Flinders. Cheltenham capitalised on their good fortune and doubled their lead moments later. Taylor Moore crossing for Mohamed Issa to score his 18th of the campaign. A double substitution saw Luton start piling on the pressure though, and Jack Stacey's cross from the right found Luke Berry in the box to reduce the deficit. Luton had to wait until stoppage time for the equaliser, but captain Alan Sheehan headed home Luke Gambin's corner to complete the comeback and keep the promotion push on track.
The form guide pointed to a home win at Adams Park, but the visitors set about springing a surprise as Adam McGurk sent the away fans berserk, repeating his goal from his team's win over Wycombe from earlier in the season. Kevin Ellison is Morecambe's wise old head. The veteran forward turned 39 the day before the game, and he celebrated in style, spectacularly bagging his 8th League 2 goal of the campaign. His 9th wasn't far away. A peach of a cross from Greg Wild, and it got the clever headed finish it truly deserved. The Shrimps had been winless in 6 league games, but boy, were they packing a punch in one of the performances of the day. Their loftily placed opponents had taken 22 points from the previous 24 available, but the 4 from Wild piled on the misery. Chairboys keeper Scott Brown's reaction said it all. Gareth Ainsworth's team refused to throw in the towel and at least managed to make the scoreline less embarrassing. Nick Freeman got one back with the aid of a deflection. Morecambe, perhaps understandably, lost some of their focus. And Luke O'Nien notched a second consolation, but the mountain they had to scale was just too steep.
This was a contest of if-onlys for Cambridge, because if only Liam O'Neill had been able to find the target, things might have turned out differently. Instead, it was the home side who continued their impressive recent surge. That said, if the referee had taken a different view on Caden Jackson's muscular challenge, Cambridge might have got something out of the game, but he didn't, and Jackson's finish made it 6 home wins in a row.
Beaten in their last 3 in League 2, it took just 15 minutes for Coventry fans to start fearing the worst, as Jordan Willis saw a straight red for his cumbersome challenge on Danny Rose. And those fears would be justified. The free kick hardly bent like Beckham, but the resulting ricochet off Kane Hemmings was enough to break the deadlock, leaving the Sky Blues with a mountain to climb. But climb it they did. When Alex McDonald went lumbering into Johnson Clark-Harris, Michael Salisbury pointed to the spot. The forward's first goal in League 2, saving a point as the Stags lose ground on the automatic promotion spots.
Notts County kept in touch with the automatic promotion places, although they had to wait 77 minutes before wearing down a resolute Stevenage defence. A fine finish from Forest Loney George Grant, only his 2nd league goal since Boxing Day. And 3 minutes later, it was 3 points safely in the bank. Brighton Loney Ben Hall nodding on, Shola Amiobi sliding in to keep County's promotion hopes bubbling away nicely.
Absolutely delighted, and I'm delighted with the clean sheets. I just thought, well deserved. Thought they were just, to a man, everybody contributed really fantastically well today, and I'm going home, as I say, really happy, man.
Chesterfield fans have long been preparing for the worst. 9 defeats from their last 12, 5 points from safety. So you take your luck where you can find it, and there was a degree of fortune to that opening goal from Chris O'Grady, his first league goal in 6 months. No suggestion of Lady Luck being involved when they doubled their lead in the second half. Andy Kellett had provided the cross for the first goal, but the second was all his own work. A run of 3 straight home defeats for the Spyrites looked to be ending. Swindon boast the best away record in League Two, but were suffering travel sickness here until Kane Woolery, moments after coming off the bench, put those fresh legs to good use. This was a performance that was earning Swindon little credit, and they were firmly in the red when Ollie Banks was dismissed for that challenge on Lewis Reed. Oddly enough, going down to 10 men sparked the visitors into action. Just 3 minutes later, Chris Robertson headed in his first goal for the club. Chesterfield hung on though, but remained 5 points from safety.
It was a big win. It was a little bit tense at the end. I think that's as expected, but I thought overall we managed the game really, really well. Really pleased with them.
We always pick a team every week. We've got to talk about Morecambe. It's been a while. Kevin Ellison, happy birthday. What way to celebrate? He was 39 yesterday. That's your age, Chris. You want to take a long, hard look at yourself.
all you can say is he's getting better. He's already got a better return than what he did last season. He's looking strong. Here, on the move, takes it well, gets the shot away. Look at the finish here. You know, the keeper gets a hand on it, to be fair. You know, the keeper does get a hand on it, but that's straight into the top bin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, this one watches it all the way, great ball in, and just guides his header. And again, just finds that same spot. You know what? What can you say? 39 years old, mobile, looking after him, looks in great shape. Good professional.
And from a Morecambe point of view, they were in a relegation battle last year. They were tipped to be in one again this year. That win, a brilliant win that nobody saw coming. Gives them a bit of relief, game in hand, 5 points clear, and for those 73 fans, all about them.
No, it does. You know, they're 5 points clear of Chesterfield now, so it's just about the catching that up.
Yeah. OK, 6 games to finish off, and still no news on a managerial appointment at Grimsby Town. Exeter with the visitors to Blundell Park this afternoon.
When you're on a run of 13 games without a win, cool, calm decision-making is always useful to prevent any moments of madness. Madness like Nathan Clark's challenge on Jake Taylor, the Grimsby captain leaving referee Andy Haynes no option but to point to the spot. Jayden Stockley showing confidence with his finish, adding to his winning goal from midweek. But the hosts were gifted their own chance to reply from 12 yards after Troy Brown sent Mariners forward Harry Cardwell tumbling to the ground. JJ Hooper couldn't even force a save from Christy Pym, nor could he find a hole to sink and hide away in after his appalling miss. A second bookable offence for Kane Wilson reduced the Grecians to 10 men before the afternoon was done, but not even his dismissal could prevent back-to-back wins as Paul Tisdale's side get back on track.
Lincoln have been flying since Christmas, and so when Michael Boswick gave them the lead 10 minutes before half-time, normal service looked to have been resumed. Given Crewe's precarious league position and recent form, there was nothing to suggest a spectacular comeback was on until Harry Pickering picked his spot with the interval beckoning. The half-time cuppa also worked its magic because it took Crewe just 3 minutes after the restart to make Sincil-Bank a little restless, and it was all thanks to Jordan Bowery. Lincoln fans have had it good at home with just 2 defeats in 34 league games before this one. But when Boswick caught Sean Miller, a drama threatened to turn into a full-blown crisis, and Paul Green made certain it did. It was party time for the 204 who'd made the journey down from the northwest, and it would get even better. The red and white of the home defence were nowhere to be seen as Crewe launched another attack, and by the time they got there, Bowery had the ball in the net and Crewe were out of sight.
Crawley came here as one of the form teams in the EFL, 8 wins from their last 10 games, but they're up against a Forest Green side in a purple patch of their own. Ruben Reid put them in front with his 3rd since joining from Exeter last month. Another great January signing for Rovers was Dale Grubb from non-league Western-super-Mare. 2 goals and 3 Man of the Match awards so far. He found top scorer Christian Deutsch to tap home his 21st of the season. A rare off day for the visitors could have been even worse had Reid not been denied first by the post and then by Josh Yorworth. But a 5th straight home win leaves Forest Green's prospects looking very rosy indeed.
Colchester haven't given up on reaching the playoffs, but they failed to deliver against bottom club Barnet, despite a rasping drive from Brandon Comley. The Bees' predicament at the foot of the Football League is more worrying than the current weather forecast. They certainly didn't freeze in Essex today, though. Some sterling work from John Akinde in the build-up, and Alex Nichols did the rest superbly to defy a woeful recent away record and clinch 3 much-needed points.
Carlisle were looking for a late promotion push as they made the almost 700-mile round trip down to Yeovil. Hallam Hope made the 162 travelling fans' journey worthwhile, scoring his 10th goal of the season early in the second half. The striker almost made it 2-0 with an identical shot shortly afterwards, but was denied by the post. And Ashley Naderson's follow-up was saved by Johnny Maddison. Yeovil had the chance to grab an equaliser late on, but the post came back into play again, this time preventing Lewis Wing's well-struck shot to leave Keith Curle's side 6 points from the playoffs.
Port Vale's quest for a first victory of 2018 will extend into a third month after this goalless encounter with a Newport side who haven't managed to score a single goal in February. Michael Tong tried to roll back the years for Vale, only to see his long-range special clip the outside of the post. Vale are still too close to the drop zone for comfort, while Newport's promotion hopes are receding into the distance. Frank Nouble forced a smart save from Ryan Boot, then Tom Pope put his body on the line when he blocked Mark O'Brien's effort to ensure that this one ended in stalemate.
So after all that, here's the table. Luton's lead has been cut to 3 points, while Accrington Stanley have moved above Wickham into second. Following some reshuffling in the playoff places, Notts County are up to fourth and Exeter are now sixth. At the other end of the table, the sides that started the day in the bottom 5 positions all picked up victories, meaning Port Vale and Grimsby both dropped down the table. Now, Arsenal take on Manchester City at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final. Join me for highlights on Sunday night at 8. OK, so supporting your team on the road takes dedication and a fair amount of dough, but sometimes, just sometimes, every single mile is worth it. Thanks, Chris, and good night.